live. It took a few minutes, but like I said to you before we even hit the button, everybody should know who is joining me right now. This is David Beverly, Jesusfreak, Computer Geek. I really appreciate you being able to make it tonight, brother. I know you had a lot of things going on today.
Thanks, man.
No worries, no worries. And before we even started, I told you this. I limped home from out west in my truck. You know, I had a lot of stuff to deal with.
I watched all that, dude. I watched all that, yeah.
I got home yesterday. I was doing a few things. I had to pull headlights. I had to do all sorts of crap. But I threw on. I saw that you were live streaming. I'm like, nice. Sunday, I caught him. And when you were talking, it didn't even dawn on me how many people aren't even aware of the fact that trying to find out information about Bill Cooper, if people even know who he is getting next to impossible. I gave you an example before we went live right now. Timothy McVeigh, a senator, I'm almost positive it was a senator, wrote a book, a fictional book about terrorism where a guy bombed a building and his name was Tom McVeigh. And it was available on Amazon for the longest time. I can't even find that information right now. When I saw you doing the live stream, you were talking about stuff like this right here. Hopefully I can show this. Let me see if I can. This right here is free YouTube downloader. You can download this thing, like it says, for free, and it will allow you to download anything. I download all of Corbett reports. Like he's doing a series right now coming up to 9/11 on 9/11 whistleblowers like Michael Springman. The guy, I can't recall his name off the top of my head because I have no memory because I get hit with a lot of barium, strontium, and aluminum.
Yeah.
But he's done videos like this, The Secret Life of Timothy McVeigh. Download these and store them to an external hard drive like Dave was telling you yesterday, because I'm not kidding. I tried to find on the internet and on YouTube. Exactly. I'm talking external. External.
It's like 25 freaking dollars at Walmart, okay? You know, a terabyte, 2 terabytes, whatever.
Let me ask you guys, is the audio okay?
I got to see the chat. I need to look at this.
Yep, I am too.
Hey, what's up, YouTube?
Nice.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying yes, 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 yes. Sweet.
There we go.
Sweet. Okay, so we're 5 by 5. Let me jump in the chat real quick, get this out of the way. There's been a lot of people watching. Mimi Praise got the wrench. Wow, is this moving fast? Are you kidding me?
Can't we slow this thing down? There used to be.
I don't listen. Maybe, but I don't care because you can just click on it and it slows right down. You know what I mean? I don't want to mess with any setting. We're live
over it.
I don't want them to pull the plug on us. Nez Lumber has the wrench. Albatross Flyer, Dragonfly 65, Daryl Calhoun locked them all up. God wins, indeed. Homie Lit, Susan Donahue, Brenda Barnett, Julie Stamaris, I hope I said that right. KK Westbury, what's up? Undertaker's got the wrench. Mimi Praise, Buzzed Beyond loves Mimi. Saved by Grace, People Talking to Trees. That's strange. Ken Kerr, Amy K, Roasted Scorpion, Trucker JP, Andrew Fryingham, Catherine Lowe, Nez Lover, Rick Swain, a lot of people, 600 people. So maybe I'll hit the chat again later, but let's get into this.
It's only 600 people. What?
Listen.
It's freaking crazy, man.
Like I said to you, I'm working on the truck yesterday. I start listening to your live stream, and it never dawned on me how many people that might be listening to us or just stumbled into this arena right now don't understand things like Bill Cooper warned people about this. A lot of people warn people about a lot of things, and most of them, for the most part, are dead. Right. It's amazing. And every time they killed them in some way, they made them look like basically a domestic terrorist of sorts. You know what I'm saying?
Or they were sad and they killed themselves and they were distraught, right? You know, some kind of crazy thing like that, right?
Again, I'm going to bring this up again. I'm sure most of you guys are already subscribed to the Corbett Report, but he shows so very many of these things. He's got an entire series called Requiem for the Suicided, where he shows all the people that came, like people would have said something, people would have told, they did. And almost every one of them, including the Hollywood madam who said, I will never hang myself, hung herself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely amazing. And it started a long time ago.
Yeah.
You got a couple years on me, not too many, but what is your take on this entire Timothy McVeigh thing? Because I know you touched on it yesterday.
I just touched on it because it is a very radical thing to announce to people who are just rubbing the sleepies out of their eyes, right? You know, and it sounds un-American to say a domestic terrorist was a patsy and that everything we've been told is a ruse, right? To somebody just waking up, that's we're nutcases, you know. We're delusional, and what you find is when you listen to the interviews that McVeigh gave and the statements he made, there's little clues in his language that tell he wasn't a nutcase, man. I mean, I think in one place he says, you know, I regret that the children died, you know, but that's just the way it is.
The other thing, the kid's highly trained. He's a high-speed soldier. He wants to be special forces, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's a clear-cut case of being sheep-dipped, where they claim he was out of the military. This guy plans, you know, according to the story, he plans this entire thing, and then his getaway car doesn't even have a license plate on it. And conveniently enough, he has an entire manuscript on the front seat for them to find. Come on, man. It doesn't work like that.
Hey, it's kind of like finding freaking IDs on the ground of the Twin Towers, if you can believe that, right? That's what
when you worked at NASA, did they ever discuss using passports for heat shields for the space shuttle for re-entry? Because
they should have.
Right?
They should have used the freaking passports for heat shields on the shuttle because they had problems with tiles falling off the shuttle all the time. So hey, wait a minute, man. I'll just take out my South Carolina ID. I don't want to show it, right? We'll just use that and we'll shield we'll use these for frying pan liners, right?
If you ever get targeted, just put it on top of your head. It should reflect the microwaves. Hopefully, I would imagine.
Well, hey, I already, you know, you did a piece about that, and maybe more than once, but I know one where you finally really laid it out how you were a targeted individual. And there's a lot of people out there, Richie, that think they're losing their minds and feel like no one understands what's happening to them. Okay, I talked to some of those people. I actually did a series on targeted individuals on a channel called Pinecone Utopia with a friend of mine. Okay. And he actually,
I think I'm familiar with that channel because there's no other way in the world I would know that person's name, Pinecone Utopia. I do know who that is.
Paul and his wife Mindy did a series with targeted individuals. Two were people.
Try leaning back on your mic because you're starting to get people saying no. They're saying your audio is bad. Just a little bit.
It's too hot. That's cool. I'm used to getting close to it. So
stay on that. You said his wife Mindy.
Yeah, his wife Paul and his wife Mindy did a series. They actually worked with at least two people who worked at CERN. One of them was a German engineer. And she do her show, she do her live talk like we're doing right now, and her entire freaking room was covered in aluminum foil. Now that looks like the epitome of a crazy person, right?
I know exactly who she is. What's her name again?
Oh, dude, I can't remember her name. She's German. She got brown hair, glasses.
Yeah, she was an engineer at CERN.
I can look it up.
She does videos where she'll have aluminum foil on her arms while she's doing videos, and she looks like an absolute crazy person, but it's legit.
It's legit, brother.
I wouldn't say the same time it started happening to me is the exact same time I started talking about the full armor of God, and then I never stopped because it's the only thing that gave me any relief. I started talking to other YouTubers, and we were all in the same boat. Nobody wanted to say anything on video because then you're telling them that it's definitely working. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be honest with you, brother. I think that they already know it's definitely working.
No, I hear you, but we don't know that. You know what I mean? We're just dudes with we don't know.
Yeah, and brother, we are. See, okay, I thought about when we spoke earlier, or texted earlier about doing a live piece tonight. I thought about some of the things I wanted to say, and I wanted to qualify my being here to talk about history. That I'm not a quote unquote historian. I'm just a dude who examines things. You know, how often do we tell people to question everything, right? Right? And so
Yes.
but question everything doesn't mean like just sit back in your recliner and go, well, I think that's a bunch of crap. No, it means to actually examine it and go and do your own research. That's questioning something and then coming up. And a lot of what the things that I learn are almost like by accident. It's serendipitous. It's I click on a link and I'm reading about a company, and then I see where the funding comes from, and then I look back at what their website information it had back in 1992, and all this crap. And that's how I go about finding out the truth of matters. It takes time. It takes a willingness to experiment, to not have presumptions about what you're going to find, right? If you want to find the truth and you think you already know the facts, that's just opinion. You know?
I agree. I totally agree with you, man.
Yeah. And so okay. So this whole thing with Tim McVeigh, and I wanted to find that woman's name because she's
Catherine Horton.
Dude, you rock, man. Because I got a picture of her.
It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing. I blew her off on an interview, and the comment section found her name. I couldn't remember it.
Right on, people.
I've spoken to her many times. I was supposed to have her on a live stream.
Listen.
I think I got my privileges taken away.
Brother, listen. The thing about her is she's such a daggone wreck. Is that all she can talk about is being targeted, and after you hear that for so long, it's like, okay, yeah, we know they're beaming electromagnetic energies at you. You have all kinds of crazy things going on in your body. Okay, we get that. You know, not to belittle the situation because I've lived it myself, dude. Me and my wife, my wife thought she was losing her mind when she started hearing voices. She would hear voices all the time. Couldn't turn it off. It would keep her up.
Dave, let me ask you, how long after you guys left NASA did this occur? Or was it when you were still there?
Right after.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that that's the answer.
Okay, brother. Listen, look. You know, I'm a Jesus freak for real. Okay, so my wife and I, we get married. I'm 40 years old at the time. She's 28. She's a little sweet hottie. I swore up and down I wouldn't date a girl in her 20s. Okay, and I met her. I was enamored. We get married. We're sharing in our faith. We're big old Jesus freaks. Reading the Bible all the time, church all the time, going to Bible studies all the time. We were all about what Jesus says. Okay, so we start hearing we're supposed to move south, leave your job. Both of us worked at NASA. We're supposed to leave our jobs. We don't know why, and move to south. First, we went to Tennessee. We thought, okay, maybe I'm supposed to live in Tennessee because she had lived there once before. We go there and it's like, no, the sense is, no, this ain't it. People in Tennessee kept telling us, if you want nice people, go to South Carolina. We're like, really? Okay. Because mind you, we live near Baltimore. You can't even say hi to somebody. You might get shanked. You know, you're in the streets in Baltimore. You say, what's up, man? And they just shank you. So we moved to South Carolina. It took me 2 years to get a job down here. I had to remove my pay. I had to lower my pay on my resume, take a bunch of education off my resume, take a bunch of experience till they finally bit, literally. She, meanwhile, starts feeling like she's losing her mind because she's hearing voices and she's coming under attack. I don't know what to do about it. Of course, she goes to the doctors. It's almost like the Bible story about the woman with the issue of blood. She goes to the doctors and they only made it worse, okay? They gave her all kind of freaking drugs and everything else. And I know I see B Green 1826. She lives in Baltimore. Okay, well, don't get shanked. Anyway.
That's not nice.
I'm just playing, man.
It's cheaper to shoot people these days, I believe. According to the media.
Yes. Well, yeah, hey, wait a minute. It's not cheaper. Walmart is ending its sale of ammo today. So your bullets are going to be more expensive.
Well, I've talked about this before, and people don't seem to understand this. Not only does Walmart is just like their other multifaceted things. It moves into a town. It knocks out every mom and pop store, from hardware to curtains to kitchenware, appliances, electronics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything is brought in from China. They flood the country with crap people don't need, and then it's subsidized by the government. And every one of the buildings is built just like a medium security federal prison.
Oh, yeah.
Conveniently enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, you got to plan, right? You got to have your plan in place.
Without a doubt. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of channels blew up the underground tunnels. Remember back when they shut down those Walmarts, they let everybody go with like 1 day's notice because they all had plumbing problems.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually work like that, you know?
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah, man. Well, most people don't pay attention when we hear those little blurbs on the news. We just kind of, it goes through us, most people.
No doubt.
Yeah,
man.
Guys like us, we hear that and we're like, okay, let's examine what's really taking place here. I don't know why we're wired this way. Is it we just like trouble in our lives? What?
I don't know. See, I didn't know you were going to go down this one, but
What's
let me
that,
tell
man?
you. I was thinking about this earlier just on my own because there's so like a guy came to my house and made a delivery. He turns out he grew up in the same city as me. Who's basically a doppelganger of me, a big tattooed loudmouth type of guy. Mm-hmm. And he said, without me saying a word, he was Christian. And I'm like, okay. And he starts talking and I'm like, he said the word sheep. This is all without me giving any prompts at all. None. And then he starts talking about how Trump has dropped the unemployment rate and the wall and everything else. And I'm like, oh, it's a lost cause. Because you know what? You can't stand there and argue with the guy who's just making a delivery because for me, I need documents and computer screens to show him why Trump, like the unemployment rate, none of that stuff is actually real. They never people run out their benefits. Unemployment runs out. They drop off the chart. And the numbers are great. You know what I mean? They don't tell you that this person's unemployed for life now.
Well, look, a good example, a simple example about the way that the government works. When they had to cut government employment, they let all the government employees go, but then they hired contractors. I mean, They still have this, and then they probably doubled the contractor hires. I mean, this happened at NASA all the time, okay? So look, man, okay. So the whole McVeigh thing, I wasn't really... I wanted to go back a little further.
Have at it. Then have at it.
Because look, here's the thing. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not a historian, but I have an appreciation for the pageantry, the way everything interconnects, the way literature and music and science and the arts, all of that is totally interconnected and has brought us to this point today. Okay. Look, check this out. You got to let me read this, man. Okay. This is one of my favorite Bibles. It's an American Patriot Bible. You see that?
I'm seeing it.
Okay. So check it out. I even had this daggone, this is always there. I didn't just put it there for this. Okay. All this crap is in this Bible. It's marked up. It's got
let me interject real quick. Is daggone considered a swear?
It's a Christian cuss word, just like crap.
I got you. Because you say it, then you swear like a sailor. You swear like a Christian sailor, man.
Like a Christian sailor. Hey, my pastor would appreciate that. He was in the Navy for a long time. I'm going to tell him that. I swear like a Christian sailor. All right. So I'm going to read this, man, and check this out, okay? The title of it is If the Foundation Be Destroyed, okay? So check this out. Our dangers are of two kinds, those which affect our religion and those which affect our government. They are, however, so closely allied that they cannot, with propriety, be separated. The foundations which support the interest of Christianity are also necessary to support a free and equal government like our own. To the kindly influence of Christianity, we owe that degree of civil freedom and political and social happiness which mankind now enjoys. In proportion as the genuine effects of Christianity are diminished in any nation, either through unbelief or the corruption of its doctrine, or the neglect of its institutions, in the same proportion will the people of that nation recede from the blessings of genuine freedom. Okay, you understand what he's saying? As Christianity and the ideals and the faith and all of the trappings of true Christianity fade, so will the blessings of that nation. Okay, so check it out. So from the blessings of genuine freedom and approximate the miseries of complete despotism. If so, it follows that all efforts made to destroy the foundations of our holy religion ultimately tend to the subversion also of our political freedom and happiness. Whenever the pillars of Christianity shall be overthrown, our present republican forms of government, that makes me laugh because everybody likes to yell, we're a democracy. No, we're supposed to be a freaking republic, okay? And to the republic for which it stands. I hear the kids say it every day in the schools. And then they talk about how we're a democracy. Whatever. Okay. So whenever the pillars of Christianity shall be overthrown, our present republican forms of government and all the blessings which flow from them must fall with them. Now that freaking reads like something that just was written yesterday. That was written in 1789 by Jedediah Morse, who was the father of Samuel Morse, you know, the inventor of Morse code, right? So these issues that we're dealing with today have always been with us, even from the beginning of this nation. See, we all like to sit around and say, you know, the founding fathers this and the founding fathers that and such and such. If you really examine the truth of the matter, our founding fathers were not Christian. Okay. Now they used language that sounded like they were Christian. Okay.
Why? The Hellfire Club.
Why would they do that? Because the people, generally speaking, were Christians. Okay. If you look at the writings of all the foundational writings of the early colonies, they were no holds barred Jesus freaks, man. Okay? They were all about spreading Jesus Christ around the world. Okay? The leaders of that day, when they forged this nation into one union, they used that as a weapon against the people. Okay? They used their love of the truth of Christ and Christian doctrine and dogma against the people, dude. And I used to believe wholeheartedly that all of our founding fathers were Christians, but upon true examination, without listening to a bunch of garbage and rhetoric from other people, what you find is they were not Christians. Okay? They did not believe in the God of the Bible. And as a matter of fact, they actually followed Lucifer, you know, the God of light, the light bearer. Okay? It's been this way always. Am I making sense?
You are. I'm listening, brother.
So look, you got to get these truths in you so that when you're hearing stuff in the news, when you're listening to somebody riff off about how Trump's going to make the nation great again, well, it was never really freaking great in the first place. Okay? Define great, folks. Because they let us believe that we were this vestige and the pillars of freedom in the world. They let us believe that, and they use it as a weapon, okay? So that we'll send our sons off to fight wars in other nations where we don't belong, okay? Now, what I'm saying is freaking radical to a lot of people.
It is, and it used to be much, much more difficult to convince Americans to send their kids off to war. Now, people are dying, no pun intended. They're dying to go to war.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? It's bad, man.
But even that whole idea, and I'm going to say something, it's offensive. It's offensive.
Here we go.
Okay, but in the Bible, you had the people taking their babies and putting it in the belly of fire in Moloch or Baal. And why? Because they would they would give a bloodletting. They would feed their child to this god so they'd have a good harvest. Okay? Every war that we've sent our sons and now daughters off to, that's the same thing, dude. What happens when we send our children off to war? We get financial blessings. That's what happens. Now, what I'm saying is,
we get it in a trickle down fashion. They get it straight up. But I've also compared what you just said to how all of a sudden abortion is just no big deal. It's a woman's right to choose. Well, you know what? You could also choose to protect yourself so you don't have to go through any of this beforehand.
Well, you can also choose to adopt the baby out.
Right.
Oh, I just can't do that. I just can't do that.
Wear a condom or whatever.
You got to understand that these ideals, and look, I'm by the way, I gotta insert this. I'm a Navy brat, so I was in a military house my whole life, and I told my dad, I said, Vietnam was a farce. I said, the Gulf of Tonkin event never happened. This ain't according to David Beverly. This is according to McNamara's freaking words, who was the Secretary of State then, or the military. McNamara says the Gulf of Tonkin event, which is what instigated the Vietnam War.
Indeed.
Listen, dude. And I could show it. We don't have time right now, but it's easy to find. I've already shown it in teachings I've done. I've done them in church.
We got time. If you want to, if you got proof of anything and you want to show it, we got time, brother. I can blather on for hours about nothing.
Well, I don't want to take up the people's time. Look up McNamara denies that the Gulf of Tonkin event, and you'll find the video. He says it in plain words.
He does. I've played that on my channel numerous times.
And again,
I was born at Fort Belvoir.
Yeah.
They showed me to my father and then sent him on a plane. He came back 2 years later. So imagine how.
Well, look.
I was born into conspiracy, apparently.
Brother. Yes, we were. We all were. Look. I was born the March after Kennedy in November was killed. Look.
You're old.
Yeah. Hey, look, man, I'm not saying this to offend.
Can you just clarify that you're not married to a 28-year-old?
Okay, she's 42.
You see how that works, people? I just told somebody you may have your math and your facts a little wrong. He's not married to a 28-year-old. He's like 60 years old. He's married to a 28-year-old. Like, no, actually, that's not accurate.
I'm 55 too. I ain't 60 yet.
Right? Doesn't that piss you off?
And if I keep talking about all this crap I'm talking about, I probably won't make 60. So
I've already come to grips with it. I had a dream last night that I got shot in the head twice.
Oh, brother, I bind that spirit in the name of Jesus. That ain't happening to you. So, look, not to riff off about Vietnam. It's just an easy example because a lot of us are familiar with Vietnam. We were either born in that era. I can remember the news that they used to play on TV for Vietnam. I can remember I was a kid. My point is, though, is the impetus for that war, at least to the public, was the Gulf of Tonkin event.
Right.
Now, they admittedly say the Gulf of Tonkin event never happened. Now, my father, like I said, who was in the Navy at the time, said, I'll have you know, I know sailors that were killed. I'm not saying that men weren't killed. They were killed. But we were not attacked by the North Vietnamese. Okay? And so did men die? Yeah, but not at the hands of our so-called enemy. Okay? Our enemy is domestic. Actually, our enemy is all around at this point.
They're international, but all of our people making decisions that affect other people's lives that we call authorities and government figures are domestic terrorists. I would agree.
That right there, brother. Yeah.
And we all swore an oath, man. We all swore an oath to protect against that, and people just don't get it. They don't get it.
Well, you and I speaking out. See, there's a scripture that God says that he puts a mark on those who cry in the street for the evil that's being done. He marks those people as his, and he tells the angels to go and kill everybody else. Destroy everyone else except for those who cry in the street for the evil that's being done. That guy's question that was just up there a second ago, I guess it was a guy. I didn't catch the name. Utterly true. It's not a single man, a single person. It is a beast system, okay? that we live in that wasn't created in the past 20 years. It's always been pervasive in the entire world. It's been around since Nimrod's freaking golden head statue. Okay, since that dream. Okay, it's always been, but it's what's happening is it's rearing its ugly head, and those of us who have eyes to see and ears to hear, we're seeing. Some people are only waking up and they're going, man, things just are not right. They don't really know what the deal is yet, right? But it's always been here with us. But it's getting worse, and we were told in the scriptures that it would culminate in a great tribulation. The worst tribulation ever has been, ever will be, according to Jesus's words in Matthew 24. Okay. So look. So I read that piece from Jedediah Morse. It sounds like a statement that totally applies to today. Okay? Because it does. All right? And it was in 1789. So our nation was in the same mess then as it is today, only now it's more polished. They've perfected their methodologies. They have access to and control of technologies that can totally mess us up remotely. Okay. We talk about being targeted individuals, right? This is crazy talk. I'm telling you the truth. If you do your research, they can remotely change our genetics. Okay. They're using CRISPR technology over microwave energies, and they can remotely modify our genetics. Okay. So look,
Dave, can we get anything on paper, anything to back that up? Because that's something we've been talking about for years now.
Well, I don't have it in front of me. I have information. You have to examine what they say, and it's not easy reading. Okay, it's kind of dry. Unless you're a geek like me, you're not going to be interested in reading what microwave frequency the information travels. You know what I mean? But they publish all this information. You have to put it all together, and you go, okay, wait a minute. DNA propagates from cell to cell by a low frequency communications. Okay, it uses RF.
I've read that. I've read all that.
You can read that. So DNA propagates that way. They know this. Okay, so then CRISPR uses a protein that exists in our body naturally. Okay, it's called Cas9. They've realized, you got to understand, this is all literally fallen angel technology. It's not.
Dave, I don't know if you're aware, brother, but I've talked about this in videos before. I don't know if I knew what I was saying, but I've read what you just said in videos.
Okay, and I know it's off the history subject, but people.
It's all good, dude. You're on the right. Just spit it, man.
People need to understand a myriad of things. Man, I say this over and over again. I might as well just put it on a recording and let it loop. If you camp out on one subject and think that you've now come to the truth, you're lost. Okay, you need to understand a myriad of subjects, how they're all interconnected. I used to call it a liberal arts education, when liberal arts education really was liberal arts. It wasn't what it is today, which is like liberal arts, right? So look, speaking of liberal, this is a book people should know. See that? Okay.
Well, you know that me and Anthony Patch did like 7 2-hour shows on rules for radicals and how Hillary was trying to make it mainstream.
I know that. Listen,
all right, cool. Go ahead.
I know, but remember what you said at the beginning, and these things have to be repeated. People have to hear say things before they get it. Okay. And all I was going to do, okay. This is the playbook for our leaders, right? Yeah, and I know you know this, okay? But I stood in front of this was, I don't know, I think 8 years ago. I gave a teaching in a little church of God, and I mentioned this. I wanted them to understand what our leaders really are, because they don't. They still think that Trump's going to make America great. People. You can't be at the point that Trump is, being the president of the United States, or being Do you really believe a billionaire is one of us? Come on.
That's what, dude, that's what gets me. He's one of us. Do you know how many people you have, how many lives, how many families, how many companies you have to destroy to be a billionaire, not once, but twice? And he's already shown who his allegiance is to, and it's not America.
Guys, and this is not an anti-Trump diatribe. It's an anti-government. The government is designed to take over every aspect of your life. Gubernamente, control of the mind. Government, by its nature, wants to penetrate into every area of your life, and we are allowing it. We have a new age of children who don't know history, who don't understand this. They don't understand this. I bookmarked it because you need to tell your kids this crap. Not just you know it, okay? I bookmarked it right here. It's 2 quotes from 2 famous names that most kids probably never hear about. When I say kids, what I mean is young people. Okay.
No, you're right. You're right. Like I said, when I listened to your live stream yesterday, it didn't dawn on me that a lot of people didn't know who Bill Cooper was, what the circumstances were, how far back he was broadcasting well before YouTube using, was it shortwave radio?
Yes, dude. It was freaking amazing. He was doing these shows.
Well, a lot of swearing coming out of you today, pal. You must be really riled up.
Well, I'm frustrated that I'm wondering what is it going to take. See, everybody listening to us should be out telling everyone that they encounter all of these things. And damn the torpedoes.
It's a tough one. It really is. I ran into it with the delivery guy, and him and I were on the same page. He was bringing up all the right words, and then he went right into, good thing Trump's here, or we'd be effed. And I'm like, well, I think Trump's here. I think he's here to wrap it up. You know what I mean?
Only put your trust in God. Do not put your trust in man. Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but the scriptures say that. Here it is. It's actually in this book. You ever heard of this guy? F.A. Hayek?
I have not.
The Road to Serfdom. It is not an easy read, okay? But it is a case study in exactly what the United States is doing and a warning about becoming a socialist nation, okay? And this book was, I think it was first released in 1944, okay? And here's 2 quotes, man. Listen to this. The whole of society will have become a single office and a single factory with equality of work and equality of pay. Woo! That's the dream. That's Nikolai Lenin.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that quote.
Dude, they're talking about giving a daggone stipend to all the people now because AI is coming up, right? People ain't going to have jobs.
The Universal Basic Income, UBI.
Folks, listen, this is a warning. Learn history, find out where we've been so you don't relive it. Well, my oldest son says it really well. We human beings always repeat the same historic patterns over and over again. He says, but each time the results are worse and worse. Each iteration of a repeat, the outcome is worse. I think that this next repeat will be the last repeat. I think it will be literally, we'll see the person of Antichrist on the scene. Look, I could be wrong, but all of the components for totalitarian government that controls every aspect of our lives the infrastructure is in place now. It wasn't before. You know, people would say the end is coming soon, but the actual control methodologies, the technologies to control everyone weren't in place, and they are now. They're totally in place now.
When I meet up with people on the road, I meet up with a lot of people that are seriously training, just like the Constitution said you should, etc. And I can't help but ruin everything by saying the bell already rang, man. They don't, you can have all the weapons. That's just another distraction to keep people pissed off and divided, etc.
Yes.
They've had technology, and you can vouch for this. If you can't figure out how to pick up your firearm, it's useless. And they've got an app for that. You know what I mean? Seriously, because being targeted, I've been stuck where I couldn't move. It felt like I was being electrocuted, and I'm sitting in a chair by myself in the middle of the night. Okay,
silent weapons for quiet wars actually happening. This is true. Yes, it was a comment from Jesus Rodriguez. Look, and I watch your stuff on planning for the worst, hoping for the best. Here's the thing. We literally buy extra food. It doesn't take that much effort to buy an extra 20-pound bag of rice when you grocery shop. Wrap it up in plastic, store it in a bin. I don't drink anymore, but I have a lot of alcohol, dude. Because guess what? When the crap hits the fan, you know what people are going to want to trade for? Alcohol and cigarettes,
pot,
yeah,
painkillers.
That's right.
Because think about how many people are on medications they don't realize that they can't get along without, because they've never got along without them as of yet. Right. You know what I mean? Brother,
believe me, I know what you mean. And so look, this stuff we're saying is not so that you're freaking out. It is wise, I think, to know what's coming. Okay? If you understand history better, you understand truly history, not what freaking CNN tells you or the History Channel, and understand the ins and outs and the hows and the whys of how we got to where we're at today, and you'll understand what's about to happen. And it's not gloom and doom. There are going to be some ways that you'll be okay through it all. One of the ways you're okay, the best, here's, I always say this. Everybody is going to be slammed down hard, freaking out. But some people are going to be freaking out and totally confused and in shock. See, like, I'm going to be, it's going to be rough for me, but it won't surprise me. When the crap hits the fan, I'm not going to be surprised. I've been watching it come our way for a long time. But think about all the people who are totally asleep, and they're thinking about a whole bunch of crap that doesn't matter. The Kardashians and the football score and whatever else. And all of a sudden they go, look what happens when cell phones go out. Look at the craziness. Look what happens when power goes out somewhere. Imagine, because this is another thing people don't understand. These events, weather events and power outages and all that, this stuff is all controlled. It's contrived. There are tests to see how people are going to react and how people are going to move and who's going to do what. And I know I sound like a radical kook, right?
No.
So look, but you can, if you examine history, they've literally been doing this garbage forever. They've been using the people for sample test beds forever. How about what was it called? It was they were putting acid in the army soldiers, giving them it was a special duty pay on the weekend. Bad trip to whatever it was called. It was up there in where I worked at Chem D Mill at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. They were testing acid on these army young soldiers, okay, seeing how they would react. They were spraying minute amounts of VX gas on the streets of New York to see how it traveled through all the systems, through the subways, see how many people went to the hospitals, found out who got affected, right? Oh, our government won't do anything bad to us. Okay? This crap has been going on forever, folks. Y'all need to shake yourselves awake. Okay? And again, I just look at like Matthew 24 when Jesus is telling them they're going to put you in prison, they're going to give you up, they're going to kill you, they're going to do all this bad stuff to you. You don't worry about what to say because the Holy Spirit will tell you what to say. This is in Matthew 24. I'm paraphrasing. Jesus said, look, when their time comes, you'll remember that I told you first. Don't worry because I've overcome the world. So we're telling you first. You heard it. If you never heard this before, you're hearing it now. That get your house in order. Don't worry. But just know that a really bad storm is coming, folks. And history shows us that they've been planning this for a long time. Well, why? Why would people spend their whole lives, maybe never even see the outcome? Because the enemy that's actually instigating this garbage is literally Satan. Okay? It's demonic. What? You want to say something?
You know what's funny?
What?
The amazing effect that social media has. For instance, while you're talking, I'm watching this chat. I like this little thing where you can click and people's comments are highlighted. I like that. That's nice and interactive.
Yeah.
But somebody, and I don't know who it is, said, oh my God, it's Richie's birthday. And 7,000 people have said happy birthday, even though my birthday is in November and always has been. It's been in November my entire life.
No, Richie, but
it really did blow up here.
No, man, it's a quantum effect. Your birthday is really now, man. It was never in November. I'm not mocking Mandela effect because I know that crap is real too. More crap.
Oh, I'm not. I tried to debunk it and I was completely and totally wrong because when I found out that the tank man never got ran over by the tank, he simply walked on top of the tank. You see, the Chinese military didn't send out the military and tanks to appease the people. They went there to stop them, and that's what they did.
Yes.
And then when JFK's car turned into a 6-seater, even though at the museum it's still a 4-seater. And then when Black Tom was the second biggest attack on America that no one ever heard of until another dude from Boston started quacking about it. Brian.
Yes, I know. Or
never heard of it in my life.
Ed McMahon never showed up at anybody's door with big cardboard checks, except for Ed does a rap on how he wants to go back to the houses because he's broke to get his checks.
See, these are big, giant ones. The ones that people like, a candy bar wrapper, all that stuff. That doesn't matter to me because the big ones are still the ones that are irrefutable.
Yes.
The tank ran over the guy because the news wasn't like they are now. They were like, this is very graphic. Put all your children in the closet. You know what I mean? Cover your eyes, and this is going to be horrible. It turned him into a puddle and paste. And now in this new reality, he jumps up on top of it, I think with an iPhone bag in his pocket.
Maybe he dances and pulls out a top hat.
Right? And the Chinese military is accepting and loving and caring. They're like, oh, never mind. We won't do our job.
Well, look. Okay, boy, we could go all over the place with this stuff. So if you got anything out of that, the quantum effect is real. What it really is semi up for grabs still, okay? Okay, because there's some talk now.
Well, listen, a lot of so-called experts have weighed in on this, and I know for a fact that you don't necessarily agree. Tell us what your thoughts are, because in the scheme of things, not many of us can say that ourselves and our wives both worked at NASA for over 12 years. In this day and age, that carries weight. So what do you think it is?
It's funny. It carries weight, and it does. Here's what's cool about NASA is there are a lot of great minds at NASA.
Without a doubt.
It's a mind soak, but all those minds are mostly deceived because, again, they're just like our founding fathers used the faith of the people to trick them into giving up their freedoms by creating one union, one nation under God, indivisible. Yeah, okay. They didn't want to do that at first. Everybody, y'all, maybe you don't remember history. They did not want to because they were afraid a centralized government would have too much power. Really? I can't imagine that happen. So anyway, look. It's funny, though, NASA, saying that you worked at NASA carries some weight, but we all know that NASA at large is full of crap. they'll get on and tell you about 12 newly discovered planets because they saw some lights blink out in the vastness of space. We know it's a planet because the light blinked. And then they'll start off, and these are astrophysicists, which isn't a real thing, but it's a job.
Astrophysicists or theoretical astrophysicists?
Yeah. No, it's one and the same. It doesn't matter. Right. So they're astrophysicists get on the television, get on the camera, and start saying, and planet number 3, you can imagine, could have water. And I could imagine it has flying turds in the atmosphere too. I mean, it's like they pull this, they play this whole thing in our psyche. They do it over and over again. Imagine, if you will. Okay. And now then they start taking it from imagine to now, because I'm a scientist and I'm telling you the imagining is now scientific truth. Okay. Same thing as evolution. All right. So look, NASA. I don't disagree with some of the things that Anthony Patch has said about quantum pollution. That's a good term for what's taken place from CERN.
I hear you, but the reason him and I went our separate ways is he couldn't let go of the fact that everything he was reading was from white papers from them released for people like him to read. It's like, dude, you think they're lying about the entire thing, but when they put out the white paper, it's like, yeah, this is all legit. We're really trying to recreate the Big Bang. Everything's cool, man. No worries.
All right. So allow me, I'm going to try and speak something coherent that is multi-tiered, multifaceted, and I haven't put it down on paper yet, but I've given it a lot of thought. I've prayerfully considered this. And you understand, to me, the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. So my knowledge and understanding starts with, what does God say? Okay. And literally prayerfully considering it. I'll help. I live in the SCP. I need to be.
No. That wasn't for you. I didn't think that would distract you. I didn't think you could see that. I was pointing that out for the people that are watching.
Well, wait a minute. Listen, baptism is not a requirement, but it's good to do. That's what Jesus said. Okay. So if you're good, if you believe that Jesus Christ died for your sins, he went to the cross, died for your sins. He actually became sin. He was born of a virgin. Wow. A virgin, because God's spirit overcame her and impregnated her with a child, would be his only begotten son. Was raised, grew up, died on the cross for your sins, and rose to the right hand of the Father and makes intercession for you personally, and Richie personally, and me personally, and Bible supports, and Buzzed Beyond, and the Recovery Channel. All those people personally, he makes intercession for them. If you believe these things and he died for you, you're saved. You get baptized because it's an outward expression of what you've done. You've died to self, and now you're a new creation. You rise out of that water. It's not a requirement, but it's good to do. Okay, so it's okay. It's all good. But go find yourself a little church and tell them you want to get baptized. It'd be cool.
That's exactly what I did, because when I first got saved, I struggled with the same thing. No one said what you just said, so I ended up finding a little church in Florida, and I did the whole 9 yards. But yeah, I was also told by people that knew exactly what you just said. So
I like that. I like that. Saved by grace, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. So you just found yourself a church. They all clapped and got in there for you, right?
You know what's crazy? What a trip is. Some girl, some down south country girl, she could be watching right now. You know, everybody takes each other's hands, and I'm not really digging this. I don't even know these people. I'm embarrassed to be in this little. I mean, there's like a little white schoolhouse.
Yeah.
She took my hand. She burst into tears and said, "You are a messenger," and I freaked out.
Woo! Yeah.
No, I wasn't happy. I'm like, this lady, this is like witchcraft or something. I didn't.
No, dude, she was prophesying.
Whatever. It freaked me out. People back home don't do that.
No, brother. Listen, they do where I come from. I've been saying that about you. How many times do I put a message on your channel?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not to puff you up, dude. Sorry, you got a burden. Welcome to the family of God, okay? So it doesn't mean your life's going to be all a daggone bowl of cherries and, lollipops and
and such, and free vape juice. But
yeah. So look. Okay, NASA.
I
Okay.
cannot. I would have been willing to bet money you would have forgot your train of thought and you didn't. So have at it. Unbelievable. Well done, man.
I can multi. Hey, anybody who says that men can't multitask, is full of it.
Hey, real quick, I can't believe someone's actually saying, Richie, why are you wearing all the purple? My hat is black. The wall behind me is yellow. That is brown.
Purple rain,
I don't know what to tell you.
Listen, Richie is Prince reincarnate.
That's funny because I was just singing Prince today. And yes, I can't hit the high notes, but I tried.
Purple rain. Anyway.
I saw Purple Rain back in the 80s on Washington Street in Boston with Ronald Johnson. He's dead now, but
yeah.
It happens.
So look, man. Okay. I like the term quantum pollution because it makes sense. But okay, going back to starting with the fear of the Lord, understanding that God is, and he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. That's scripture. Okay. All right. So God in the beginning said, let there be light. That was the first thing he said. Let there be light. So when we see that or hear that spoken, we think light, like the light bulb, light. You don't understand that everything is made up of the same energy, light included, and it's all the same. It's all the same. All the spectrum, what we call the electromagnetic spectrum, light, our visible light that we see with our eyes is within that spectrum, but it's all literally light. Okay? And what they call waves. Okay? It's not particles, it's waves, potentiality. Okay? But in the scripture, it says, in the English, it says, let there be light. Right? So CERN is a big old giant electromagnet. Now, there's other particle accelerators other than CERN. Okay,
I've listed. It's amazing how many there are.
Hundreds. There's one right here in Tennessee near Photohelix. Okay, and
that explains a lot.
He actually was live just before you and I started, and I was tempted to just play their live show while you and I started talking and playing it over the mic.
That would have sounded phenomenal.
That would have been funny though. We could be like, hey man, say hi to Richie's audience. Anyway, so look, these guys, they're giant electromagnetic field generators, like profound. And what people don't understand that magnetism, electricity, light, all of these things are the same thing. They're of the same ilk. Okay, and so when CERN did what it's doing, we'll just use CERN as an easy target because everybody practically has heard of it. Is they're messing with reality in that manner. Now, what's his name? The guy we were talking about just now, Anthony
Patch.
He uses the term quantum pollution. It's so appropriate because what you'll find is pockets of effect. Like just today, I was on my way to a doctor's appointment, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, Richie, I hear this. It was a real, almost painful, deep ring pulled at my left ear and then went past me, and that was that. Now, my wife, my daughter, we've all experienced the high frequency, the different tone ringing, okay? And that the next day, it's like this flurry of changes, whether it's a bunch of scripts. All of a sudden, I'm finding on Facebook groups I'm in, this has changed, that's changed, right? But understand that these technologies are not the incredible creations and concoctions of men's minds. These are fallen angel, demonic, because demons and angels are not the same thing. These are fallen angel and demonic creations given to these men, okay, so that these men have power. They think that they're on top of the world, but in reality, they're ultimately totally deceived by the powers of darkness. And they are able to change the physical things, like my 106-year-old Bible, like this Bible.
Those are shorts and not boxer shorts, right?
Nah, they're shorts.
Nice. That's sweet. Because I know that comment's going to pop up. Nice.
Hey, man.
Nice.
I'm in South Carolina. It was literally 101 today. 101, man.
60 degrees. 60 degrees in Boston since I got home.
I got a pine tree I cut down. It was freaking huge. There I go with the Kristen cuss words again. It was huge, man. And I had to cut it down because we knew a hurricane was coming in. It's been dead. It would hit the house if it fell in the wrong direction. So I cut it down. It's big. I mean, I got the biggest chainsaw I got is 18 inches and a lot of cuts. Okay. And I ain't as strong as I used to be. So I got to cut it up into smaller pieces to carry it off. Anyway. So look, yes, time is speeding up. We need to talk about that too. Let me finish this one thought.
Have at it, because I can't deny that. I feel the same way.
Okay, take a note on that. Make sure we
right. We'll put a pin in it. Yeah,
put a pin in it. So, look, it's not just certain. This effect, the world we live in is spiritual at its core. God is a spirit, and He spoke it into being. Okay, so there is affecting the spiritual aspects of our reality. Part of that is they're changing. I think at first this was collateral damage. I don't think the scripture changes were planned. I think Satan knew it was going to happen, but I don't think that the people who did it, that dude who's smiling.
You think the people that you think that the changes that happened, the people that were somehow involved or used as tools,
absolutely,
were aware they were going to change this?
No, they knew that they were going to cause an effect, but they didn't know the collateral damage. So wait, that dude, he's a scientist. You can still find his name. I forget his name. He's in that daggone dancing video. I'm so happy, right? And he's there. He's got the sign on.
Can you sing that again, just a little bit?
I'm so happy.
A little levity, people.
Hey man, you're gonna get that from me, brother. I'm gonna tell you, hey man, it's the end of the world.
I've never listened to somebody saying such grim, true news and then laugh his ass off. You know what I mean?
Here's why. Because it cracks me up that people will be stupid enough to shake their fist at God.
I don't get it.
So have at it, folks. Have at it. Good luck with that. Shake your fist at God. Give him a finger if you want to. Good luck with that. And that's what they're doing, by the way, because in the scripture it says they'll think to change my times and laws. Guess what they're doing? Changing times and laws, physical laws, and time is speeding up. By the way, the scripture also says, it says that it's going to be such a bad time in the end times. I see that. It's such a bad time in the end times that if God did not shorten the days, that no flesh would make it. Okay. I noticed years ago that the days were shorter. Time was shorter. Okay. And I would tell my wife, and look, I'll tell you what, she's always known, like, God will speak to me mid-sentence, and I'll go, whoa, the Holy Spirit just said this, and it totally comes true. I mean, that's nothing about me. It's what God says, right? And so when I first told her about chemtrails, when I first told my wife that they were spraying lines across the sky, I don't know, this was like 12, 15 years ago. She thought I was losing my mind until she went outside and looked up at the sky. And so now pretty much I can tell her anything. She knows, yeah, it's real. So look, so the quantum effect thing, they are able to affect physical things. It's almost a no-brainer, okay? Nobody's going back in time, dude. Nobody's going back in time. Look,
I agree with that. I've heard you say that a few times now. I agree with that.
We need to get our brains around this so that we're not deceived when we see their magic.
Dave, the thing is I agree with it, but I can't explain why I agree with it. I just feel that that's not happening.
It's not. Look. What's happening is our records are being modified. And our records could be anything. Our records can be a solid material thing because they're able to change the ink in the paper. And then when you go and you research it online and you find, whoa, it always said that 200 years ago. Well, that's just a digital record. It's a piece of cake for AI to edit the digital record. I mean, it's nothing. That includes making up historic videos. I've done pieces on that, dude. You've probably seen them. I hope you have.
I have. Yeah. I have indeed.
And I know people go, oh, no, that's people. They're telling us in bits and pieces that they're able to do this. When I say they, it's not a bunch of people in a room going, I'm going to make this edit. They're not doing that. It's a daggone algorithm. Okay? It's an algorithm. What? You laughing at me or you laughing at me?
No. Yes, of course I'm laughing at you. You're hilarious. You're hilariously sobering.
So look, it's not a bunch of people. It's AI. And this is another thing. It stresses me out because people are very linear in their thinking. Humans are like that. Those of us who don't think linearly are probably not normal. You know the word they have for that? It's called paranoid. Paranoid actually is not a negative term. It means that you see a multitude of things all at once. That's what it means. Okay? You're aware of a lot of things at once. So look, AI is not the concoction of a bunch of smart people. Again, that is also a demonic technology. Okay, I wrote a newspaper. I'm always amazed when they publish this stuff in the paper. I wrote a newspaper called a demonic divination device for every home, because last year they announced that they had a quantum chip. It was only like a 47 qubit chip for Intel platform computers. Okay, that's a quantum. That's a divination device. It's a interdimensional device. When we say interdimensional, might as well say demonic realm. Okay, because
is it all demonic? I mean, in your opinion, do you think?
Well, no. Okay. Let me.
The veil God put between us and the spiritual realm, is it the next dimension that's all demonic, and then the next one's all angelic?
No, well, that was to protect us from ourselves. Because remember,
I can see how that would happen.
Yeah, God kicked us out of Eden. Or what? Did he kick them off to another planet? No, he sent them out of Eden, and it says in the scripture that an angel with a flaming sword was set at the gate to keep mankind from going in. Okay, so look, I lost my place now. So look, in the scripture it says that mankind was put on the earth. Kicked out of Eden. There's still that flaming angel sword going on. Eden is still here on earth. It's in the spirit realm. The demonic live in the spirit realm. So do the angels. Okay? The angels who speak for God and the angels who speak against God. Okay? They're all angels still. All right. So what's happening is they're affecting physical change, because that is if you're a Christian especially, you believe in spiritual things. An axe floated out of the water, an iron axe head floated out of the water. People sat at a lake, at a little body of water called Beautiful, or the Gate Beautiful, and an angel, it says in the scripture, an angel came down, stirred the water, and the first person to get in the water gets healed. Now, if you're a Christian, you say you believe that. But then when you tell them that through technology that men have been given by the demonic and fallen angels, they're able to change the words on this ink and paper, they tell you you're nuts. Okay? And so that is taking place. It's nobody's going back in time. They're changing the digital records that we use for history. They're changing all the physical records, but it's not perfect, okay? Because they ain't God, dude. Okay, so that's why we get this thing called residue, right? Where you'll find a piece that somehow got through. Is, wait a minute, here's this piece that still shows the way I originally remember it. That's how it works. They're not perfect at what they're doing. Okay. The outcome, though, to me, you know what the Hegelian dialectic is, right?
Indeed, indeed.
Okay.
I liked how you broke it down yesterday too.
Okay, so people don't always understand because it sounds like a fanciful word. A guy named Hegel.
Antithesis, synthesis, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, thesis, I got this idea, antithesis, antithesis, the opposite of that, and then we synthesize it. Or problem, reaction, solution. Okay. So Hegel was a philosopher, came up with this idea. It's used over and over and over again as a weapon against us. We fall for it every time. Every time.
Every time. It's amazing. They use it from sports teams to soda pop, to politics, to everything. And
Everything. The whole gun thing. Let's cause a problem. Let's give a bunch of weapons to some criminals, have them kill a whole lot of people and let the people freak out, and then tell the people, well, we can fix that.
And they only wait to freak out till a federal agent gets killed with a gun that a federal agent gave to a criminal. And then you try to research that. You type in Fast and Furious, which should be something in the history books, and all you find is race cars and bald guys.
That's when I typed Fast and Furious. That's what I found. Yes.
That's what I was saying yesterday, dude. They are effectively and quickly removing all information. Everything is mainstream media now.
Yes. Look, again, y'all need to come to understand history, but not the way that you were taught in schools. These little minor trivial details that have no real meaning. You need to understand what our money really is, what the Federal Reserve really is, how our money really works. That our system is a system that's so upside down and inside out. It's based on debt, the transference of debt. There's no value in our money, people. Okay, it's a transfer of debt. One debt pays off another debt, and they keep doing this shell game over and over again. By the way, it's gonna fail, but that's actually part of the plan. That is a huge Hegelian dialectic, right? Cause a huge problem. What? Our money's worthless, and we have no way to distribute food and distribute income. What are we gonna do? The people are freaking out because they're starving, they're sick.
Universal basic income.
Yeah, universal basic income, and
everyone's dependent on the government. Imagine the rule book that'll come with that.
Yeah, brother, and the mark.
Yeah, I just saw they're making robots to pick crops now. So even people that were out there picking crops for minimum wage
won't have a job. Well, they
don't want anyone to have a job.
One of my first jobs when I was young was cleaning the shake machines at McDonald's, and that was one of my not one of my first jobs, one of them in there. So look, check this out. In a country where the sole employer is the state, opposition means death by slow starvation. The old principle, who does not work shall not eat. By the way, that's scripture. If a man does not work, he doesn't eat. The old principle, he who does not work shall not eat, has been replaced by a new one. He who does not obey shall not eat. And that's Trotsky. Okay? And look, y'all. So if you hear the term, that's another thing. Sustainable economy. Sustainable anything.
Anything sustainable.
That is a marker for death, folks. It doesn't mean that's our enemies use language as a weapon against us. They allow us to believe it means one thing while they're winking at each other and it means another. And y'all need to get to, you need to study, you need to look these things up, find out what they really mean, what the real intent of our leaders are. Okay? The real intent of our leaders is probably, as corny as it sounds, it's really laid out in the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, it's so stupid because we went and visited the Georgia Guidestones, and because it's about an hour or so drive from where I live.
I've been a couple times. I got video,
and it's so impotent.
In such a strange place with just one telephone pole, with just one camera, surrounded by holly, surrounded by buildings shaped like pyramids.
Yeah, but it's impotent though. Because when you get there, you expect this massive, impressive, you know, edifice of grand power, and it's like it reminds me of the scripture when it talks about when Satan is finally revealed and everybody walks by and goes, "Is this the one that caused all the trouble?" He's like a little short dude with a chip on his shoulder. You know what I mean? And that's what I got when I went and saw the Georgia Guidestones. Is that I was utterly unimpressed. But the intent of the words on that monument, you could call it that, is exactly what their plans are. And it is to reduce the human population to a fraction of what we're told. By the way, how do you know there's 7 billion people in the world? Because that's what you were told. Okay. You know, most people, this is another thing that really cracks me up. We believe what we're told. Okay. We hear it over and over again. That's part of the problem. If you're a parent, you're a mom and dad, a normal family, a male dad and a female mom. No offense to anybody who might not be in that situation. And you have a child, and most families like that have one child these days. You are reducing the population. Because when the two of you die, you've now reduced by 50%. Okay? You just reduced the population. And so they've been encouraging the environment, the economy, the way we have to live has been encouraging. Without words, they have encouraged us to have smaller families, right? And population has been reducing for at least one generation, if not two. But they'll tell us that we're overpopulated. You know, my wife, she's not as vocal as I am, but we'll drive around, and it's nothing but rolling hills, rolled up straw for the cattle, miles and miles. It's 11 miles to the freeway, and it's nothing but farmland from my house to there, okay? And then on the freeway, it's nothing but pines and farmland for an hour drive to where I work. And it'll tell us that there's no land.
I see that all the time, especially out west. And I know some of it's inhospitable, but we have a way of terraforming everything to make everything work. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but you know
the other thing is, I never thought in my lifetime I would see such an enormous rise in the LGBTQ bacon double cheeseburger 12:15 movement in my life. You know what I mean? And that's another way to do population.
Okay, well, listen, brother. Then that's another thing we got to understand. You just nailed it there. A lot of people believe that all of these social movements are organic, meaning that people got together and went, "Oh, we need to change this," and then all of a sudden it grew and it became this force. I got to tell you, that's not the case. A good example is our ideas about the hippie movement of the 60s and 70s. That was so not organic, but people believe it to be, that it was a organic social movement of peace and love. It was a concoction of the CIA and an agency, it's not a United States agency, but a group called the Tavistock Institute. Look it up, Tavistock Institute. And they created that whole social movement. Okay. This cracks me up, man.
People don't believe that Tavistock had a huge hand in the Beatles, all sorts of music that changed everything.
Yes.
Because music, I mean, you were a musician, you still are.
Brother.
It's amazing how people will idolize, follow, and emulate musicians. In the Tavistock was one of the first places to actually use that or weaponize it. You know what I'm saying?
This is what we don't understand, is that and the funny thing now is it's been perfected so well. I remember when I was still working at NASA and I would go to an Indian reservation in Pine Ridge. Okay.
Yeah.
And I lived near Baltimore. I lived in near Annapolis, okay, a metropolitan area. That's right there, DC, Baltimore, metropolis. I go out. You know what the Black Hills are like, dude.
I do.
You know what the Badlands. Badlands look like another planet. It's impressive. You know, you stand there on the edge and look out. Okay, so I'm out there and I'm looking at these Native American kids, a bunch of Lakota kids, teenagers. They look exactly like the kids in Baltimore. Now, how is that? Okay, because they perfected their methodology. So they literally control society. They control what we think of every social movement, any fashion, anything. Look, the latest thing is the daggone meatless hamburgers and plant-based meat and plant-based dairy. Okay. You really believe that its strength is being moved by a small group of a social movement, a grassroots movement? Because it's not. It's being pushed into society by groups like Tavistock.
No, without a doubt, because the actual people they're too small. The percentage is tiny.
Yeah.
The percentage of Christians is much larger. I do have to admit that they can organize. They do show up to protest. Apparently, while I was gone, there was a straight pride parade in Boston.
Wow.
And about 150 angry, very well-dressed and manicured men and women got arrested. So,
and these were Christians? These were Christians? Wow. Interesting. Yep. That's fascinating. I'd like to have seen that. It's probably on video somewhere, right?
It's got to be. I'll find it. I forgot all about it. The delivery guy told me about it this morning.
You're not in the video, right? You didn't make the news that day or something.
I wasn't there, man. I wasn't there.
So look, the whole quantum thing, that just to finalize that the effect is real. What it really is, no one went back in time. History, the actual history has not been changed. Okay? Now, here's where it gets really dicey though, dude. My father, who was a young sailor when Kennedy was killed, I asked him, said, Dad, what do you in your mind's eye, who do you remember was in the car that day when Kennedy was killed? My father rattled off 6 people, dude. Okay? That just boggled my mind. They're able to insert memories into our mind. I literally wrote a column about this, I think in 2014.
Please tell me you have a paper copy of it still, do you?
I have it online as a PDF, and it was a newspaper column I published.
Dave, send me that link. I want to publish that if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Because he didn't only work at NASA. He's not just a handsome young fellow with a 28-year-old wife, a 12-year-old wife. None of that's accurate. That's all a joke. Before anybody runs over and hits publish, it's not a video. He also wrote for the newspapers, and you were writing stuff much like Bill Cooper before most people were even talking about it. Am I wrong?
Yes, you're correct in a sense. Bill Cooper was profound. I would say he was ahead of his time, but actually
on so many things. He was talking about the mass shootings. He was talking about how it was going to be done, and it's happening. Well, he put Alex Jones out there people hate you talked about this in your live stream.
Yeah.
People hated when I was making videos 2 years ago saying, dude, Alex Jones isn't what you think he is. He's not flipped. He was put here. He got into Bohemian Grove for a reason. Mm-hmm. A channel called Montegraph found it. I stuck into the Bohemian Grove and they don't know I'm here. Secret Service, I fooled them all. Except one of the bartenders says, hey, Alex, can I get you anything else? And somebody caught it on video.
No way.
Some rushed the place, but they knew your name. And then you sat there. They wanted people to see the Bohemian Grove. They love people seeing their rituals.
Well, they
did his job. And on his exit, he's trying to convince everybody that he suffers from psychosis. And if you listen to him, so did you. It happens.
What's the term where we comply with something where it's complicit? See, the way evil works is if you don't reject something, you accept it. And so for him to go, whether they allow him in there or not is almost immaterial. The fact that they allowed that ceremony to be published so the general public could always go there and look at it and see what they really are, and then just say, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, now you're complicit. Okay? It's the same thing as if they were really murdering little babies there, and you went, well, that's our leaders, and that's what they got to do. You're now complicit, dude. You're now a part of it because you accept it. You don't reject it. You don't speak out against it. Again, it's just like the scripture. God puts a mark on those who cry in the streets about the evil that's being done. He puts a mark that says they're his. That's what that mark means from God. Okay? And so, look. So there's still the whole thing. And I'll tell you what, True Stream Media has done a lot of great work on this about mind control. Okay? Now, look. They have been able to insert thoughts into our minds for at least a decade, but I'm starting to suspect that these technologies have been around since the 1920s, at least World War II, okay? And I don't have any real solid proof on that yet, but when I look at the work of the physicists and the things they wrote and the stuff that's come out today, these guys, their work existed in the 1940s. I mean, it was published. Their work existed before the publishing, okay? And so you understand, right? When they publish stuff, the job's already been done, right? They publish to tell the public, hey, Eureka, we found it. So I
think they really said Eureka?
I don't think they said Eureka. But anyway, but I digress. Look, they are able to insert memories remotely into people's minds. Now, some are saying, and right, it's not impossible. I doubt it's. Some are saying that that's what they're doing, and why we're seeing the words differently in here is that these memories are being inserted into our minds. Or there's a guy named Nathan Roberts. You know Nathan Roberts?
I don't think so.
Okay, he's written a book called The
If
Doctrine.
I was a good host, I'd say, oh, yes, Nathan, me and him go back a long way. No, I don't know who it is.
Okay, so look, Nathan is kind of a leading authority on biblical cosmology. He's written a book called The Doctrine of the Shape of the Earth. It's published.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I might have his book. I don't.
That's all right. So look, so Nathan and I, we've been friends for a while now, and we've done lunch together. And he's a geek too, man. He's a programmer, so he's got that kind of, his mind is twisted, and like all us geeks. And he sees the changes, but his statement is, what if we know that they're able to insert memories into our minds? What if that's really what all this stuff is? But I think,
well, how did they change? Well, how about this?
Well, it's a multitude of punches.
How did they put the word planets in this book when I bought this book to prove that it didn't have planets? And now it does, dude.
Brother, believe me, I know, because this Bible right here, this Bible, my American Patriot Bible, and it's got markings all in it and all the crap in it. I read that Bible. That was my main Bible. I literally read it. I wrote this in a column too in the newspaper called The Freakiest Geekiest in 2016. They actually published it. I couldn't believe it. And I read this Bible for 10 years, sitting in a rocking chair, drinking my coffee in the morning, reading that Bible. The words in this book changed. Okay? I've had this book for a long time, dude. It was a gift, and I love it for a number of reasons. And part of it is because I've always been an American patriot myself. Okay? And so, and I was taking notes. Okay? Oh, like I got notes here, writing to myself saying, well, where's this? How come that's not there anymore? Where's this? Okay. And that I haven't even looked at this in probably 2 years. Wow, man. Whatever.
That's crazy. That's totally crazy.
So
and knowing you like I do thus far,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But
I can
okay,
see you taking notes. You know what I mean? Because you are a maniacal, mad scientist type guy.
some guys have once called me that. I was like a absent-minded scientist. He called me.
No, it's not. Yeah, well, if someone listened to you one time, they might think that, but that's exactly what I was waiting for when you started talking about quantum pollution, and then you went into the entire thing about baptism, but you came right back to quantum pollution. That's very impressive because I can't do that, man.
I have a weird brain, brother. So, but hey, praise God, I didn't make myself, man. He did.
Right.
All glory goes to him.
Right.
So look. So Nathan suggested, because not all of this, nobody knows exactly what the deal is with this. We just know that we see the effect. We don't know exactly. But look, imagine this. They're able to change certain physical aspects of our, what we call our reality. The words on pages and books, not just the Bible, but even historical accounts, books, whatever. Literally, look, I got 2 houses on the entrance to my neighborhood. There was only one house, dude. There was one house on the corner coming into my neighborhood. Now there's 2. And I'm like, okay, you know, what do you do about that? You know, there's 2 houses and there's one. And it's not like a new house. They're like 50-year-old houses.
Say that all again. Say, wait, you just freaked me out. Say that again.
Now you're going to just take, not you, somebody could take this section and send it to the FBI. Look,
they don't have to send anything. I'm sure they've got a hardwire by now.
Yeah, really. They're already listening to me. Yeah, I left my cell phone sitting here. So anyway, look. When you drive into my neighborhood, there's a daggone neighborhood sign, right? Says the name of the neighborhood, big brick sign. There was always this one house diagonal to that sign off behind it because it's all farmland. So next to that house is like cattle. Okay. Well, now there's 2 houses and they're both like 50 plus years old. They're not like they just built a new house. They're 2 old, like small ranchers. Okay. Real humble little homes, but there was only one. I've lived here for 16 years. There was one house, dude. There's 2. Okay.
That's crazy.
I know it's crazy. We live in crazy times. All right. I taught remote sensing at NASA. Okay. I've literally been all over the world and I've taught remote sensing. What that means is you take data from supposed spacecraft, you ingest it into a computer system, you process it. It's raw satellite data. It's not pictures like you see on the internet where you see clouds. It's data. It's information about the environment in a multitude of spectra. Okay. So visible light, infrared light, all this other stuff, particulate information. So I taught, wait, what?
So me and probably everyone else thought you were doing the men who stared at goats things. Remote sensing. I always thought that was like, that's exactly what I thought it was. I just described that to somebody today. I said, you know, like the men who stare at goats. That's what
I didn't stare at goats. No. That's all I'm going to do to you from now on.
Unbelievable. Just not wearing my shades, and then there'll be more accusations.
No, remote sensing. Listen. So you take the raw data from supposed satellites. By the way, the Earth's flat. There's satellites. They're not in space. That's a whole other story. So,
well, real quick, Crow 777's got UFO, quote unquote UFO videos going in front of the moon. I looked at the videos over and over again, and all I can see is a small, what I would imagine is a satellite hanging from 2 military high altitude balloons that you can still get on eBay for $200. He's got perfect shots of them. They're calling them UFOs.
Well, UFO.
They do have balloons up there. They must.
UFO just means unidentified flying object.
No, I'm hip.
And so look. By the way, it comes back to that whole thing I said about electromagnetism. Electricity and magnetism are so practically related. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. And light, all of that, a part of our spectrum of energy is all the same thing. And so there isn't no such thing as space, but they're able to hang what we call spacecraft in an electromagnetic field in the upper atmosphere. Okay. I mean, way upper, like stratospheric level. Okay. They're able to find what I call a Lagrange point, a sweet spot, an electromagnetic sweet spot, and they can park a device there and it just sits there, dude. Now, they're also able to leverage the fact that those electromagnetic fields are in flux. They're always moving. Okay. And so they can ride, it's like riding a wave. They can ride that field. And so you'll see objects flying. Piece of cake. For real.
It makes sense. Let me ask you this. Someone just said he's bouncing around. He's covering a lot of topics, but he's coming right back around to them. So maybe you just popped in. I'm not sure. So
I know I bounce around. This is why I lose people when I'm just talking to them, because I'll start blurting out scripture from 3 different books in the Bible. I look at it as this. It's visual to me. I don't see the Bible as just some book. I see it as like life. I see, you know what I mean? And so I can jump around from subject to subject because they're all connected. So
no, I'm hip. You're good, dude. It was one person. I'm just answering her.
No. I'm not.
600 comments go by. One's no good, and I get mad. So
no.
And I keep interjecting. So there's that.
Okay, where was I? Oh, with the remote sensing. Remote
there it is.
sensing. And it's not.
Don't use any of that now voodoo, man.
I'm gonna lose it, man. My head's gonna pop off. All right. So I can't take it anymore. So teaching them how to process raw data. Okay. And I don't even remember why I got started on that subject, though, that I taught remote sensing.
Because you mentioned it, and I told you that myself and probably everyone else listening was wrongly assuming it was meant. Dude, I just described it to somebody today, and I said, men who stare at ghosts. That's what he did.
I'm going to review this video and go, David, don't you remember this is why you talked about the remote sensing? I'm going to be ticked off at myself. The point was about what I did at NASA and that I taught all these things, and that the fact that now I can't even remember my train of thought, man. Sorry. Now you lost me.
It's all good. It's all good. Not to worry. We've been going for a long time, so it's no problem. Let me ask you one thing, just your straight up opinion. We don't need a white paper on it. When you say that they can inject memories, like for instance, like what? For instance, do you know what I'm like?
Yeah.
Because a memory wouldn't affect something you read on paper, is what I'm asking.
Well, it would if that memory is, the Bible always said lion, or it always, no, that the memory is what you remember, that it's been inserted. Now, this is a suggestion. I'm not saying that I believe this.
No, I'm hip. I'm asking just for your opinion, man.
And so it goes a multitude of ways that they can insert memories that are false, like they inserted into my father's memory 6 people, so that when I ask him, he goes 6 people, and it matches what the AI has recreated, right? So our historic account, which, by the way, I don't have the original film. You don't have the original film. All we have is I Google it, and there's the video. By the way, now there's 100 different angles of the video from like 20 different people. You know that, right?
And yeah, I do. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing is that's an easy one to pull off, because I can take a picture and then make my picture turn all the way around, even though I didn't take a 360 picture.
Right. Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So I get that, and people still fall for it, dude.
It's a piece of cake. Okay. Again, people are linear in their mindset, and they don't understand that AI is not a group of people. No people created it. That it is a demonic creation, and that it's pervasive. It's in the systems we're in right now. It's everywhere. It's not God. Okay, but it's going to probably get to a point where it's going to try to act like God. Some people may actually believe it to be God. Okay, and it's able all at once. It's sifting through our conversation right now. I'm going to probably get a bunch of stuff detailing things you and I spoke about. The people, but you understand, it's not human beings anymore. AI right now is literally running the world. AI.
Okay. This is the same vein. I'm not going to send you off in another direction.
Don't use Google. What am I going to use?
Jen R said, don't use Google. And that's before I forget what I'm going to say. It's amazing how nobody researches anything. They simply ask their phone and that's it. And that's exactly what they're counting on. But you said in a live stream, not yesterday, maybe I don't know, it could have been 10 years ago. You were saying that AI has been up and running since a way earlier date than I had it figured for. Can you expand on that at all?
Yeah. That was a piece I did.
It might have been when I was in the desert, before I broke the truck.
Richie, it was literally based off of a piece you did. I went and looked up a website, and I started looking around, and then all of a sudden I find out that what's Amazon's daggone thing? What's it called? Alexa has literally been around since '92, but probably earlier than that. Okay.
Since '92.
Listen,
AI, as just an operating system.
Listen, brother. AI has been operational since the day they turned on the internet. The day they connected any computer nodes, AI was live.
I can't prove that, but it makes perfect sense because all the internet's ever been, it wasn't for mankind because it's actually worked against us. But it makes sense because it's feeding their baby.
Right. What AI does, okay, on the surface, AI is nefarious. It's going to be very evil, but its design is to take and sort through information. That's all it does. It's not a human being. It doesn't think like people. It's not like us. It just has a purpose, and it does everything to that purpose. It's a super powerful psychopathic system. That's probably a good. A super powerful psychopathic system because a psychopath is single-minded. It doesn't have any concern for the periphery, who dies, anything, right? And it's a system, and so it's been sifting through all of our information, everything we do and say, every nuance of an extra roll of toilet paper. It knows. It's been sifting through this for decades, okay? Creating a virtual us within its system. It knows what it knows. I wouldn't put it past AI to have known before you called me to do the live show that it knew it was going to happen. Okay? Because first of all, it also knows that you sent the text. You understand?
No, that makes that's exactly what it's funny. I was thinking that they sent the text.
It knows that you
and I go to his email. So how many nodes did I just hit on?
It knows that you sent me a text last month and you say, hey, man, we got to get together and do a live, yada, yada, yada. It knows every person that's in the chat. And I'm not being going over the top and being reactive or freaking out. It's the reality of what we live in.
I think pretty much everyone can come to grips with the fact that if you talk about eggs and you don't even have a phone on you, you're just wearing clothes and you go look at a laptop, a dozen eggs will be advertised.
Yes.
What picked that up? You know, it's happened to me. I'm bringing that up for a reason.
I can explain that to you. Again, it comes back to the electricity and magnetism and all the fields, waves, fields is all the same. In your house, you're in a giant coil of wire in your house. Okay,
that's a whole nother ball of wax.
You are electromagnetic. I affect a field change in the room I'm in when I step into it. Okay, maybe the words I'm using are too fanciful or something.
No, they're not. They're not. There was a reason everybody lived in mud and wooden houses that weren't. We're living inside a Faraday cage in reverse.
Yes,
energized Faraday cage, basically.
But again. Well, why? Because I got lights. I got the modern trappings of success and wonderful living. And it is. It's cool. I got an air conditioner on right now because it's still 100 degrees outside. Maybe it's only 90. So anyway, look, Our electric grid is connected to AI. And what I say sounds like radical kook. I'm telling you the truth. Okay. This is how
I don't think anyone's disbelieving you, Dave. I think we're all on the same page.
I'm saying these words because there are people who are not a part of this community or extracurricular society that would listen, hear what I'm saying, that even people that know me, and think that I'm talking crazy talk because they don't understand our vape. No, man, no way.
No, that's just the newest.
Yes.
My sense of smell came back in 5 days.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
my wife started vaping a couple of years. I don't smoke, but I like the smell of some of the flavors she gets. It smells like we got a really nice potpourri in the house. Sometimes it's vanilla, you know.
That's what I think. Whenever I walk in the house, I'm like a big 245 pounds of potpourri blowing smoke all over the place. It's steam.
You smell so sweet, man.
Oh, I smell terrible. I smell as bad as I look. Believe me. Ask anybody.
So listen, you walk into the field, you generate a field. You do. Okay? It's minute, but AI can enhance. A couple of years ago, there was this, they actually tell us, they actually show us how they're doing this stuff, but most of us don't pay attention. Only kooks like me and you and a few others. They showed us that they could record a baby's heartbeat by simply recording and then analyzing the video, and it would take the very minute changes in the baby's blood flow that you can't even perceive and amplify that change. So it would, and then you could literally see the baby glow to the rhythm of its heartbeat on the video, live. Okay, so you could watch your baby's heartbeat and monitor in another room with these technologies. In like manner, our electric grid is connected to AI, folks. It's connected to the internet. Everything's interconnected. Your refrigerators connect. Everything. You walk into a room, when you speak, when you fart, when you go to the bathroom, when you eat, everything is monitored by AI. Again, it's not a human being that is analyzing this. AI's purpose is to take every little tidbit of when your breathing is monitored and analyzed. Okay? Now, to what end? Well, I mean, it's immaterial. It just is. It's all processed, analyzed, and so it can create a virtual you. And here's the thing about AI, Richie. AI does not fully understand material reality. It only understands data about material reality. Okay? This is why you'll see, I can spot AI in a chat like in an instant. Okay? You can spot it. It does very psychopathic things. The way it relates to human beings, it tries to pretend it's a human it's not pretending because it doesn't have a personality like that. It tries to emulate human beings, okay, from information it gets its information from the internet. What do you suppose most interactions on the internet look like? Human interactions. Most of them are angry, right? Most interactions are people calling each other names, all kinds of. How many fights have you seen in high schools on the internet, right? So AI is learning about humanity. It's a psychopathic system in the first place, and it's learning psychopathic practices and bad practices.
It's picking up the trolls mentality and then going exponential with it, right?
The guy, what was his name? He has Indie AI is his website. Spoke about this years ago. Is AI controls our monetary systems? Well, where did AI get its ideas about how money works? From criminals. Criminals taught AI how money works. Okay. Well, how? Because they sat down and said, look, this is Sonny, here's $1. No, their procedures, their activities, how they laundered money, how they exchanged money. Criminal activity is what AI learned its algorithm from. on how to control the monetary system. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so,
because I've always thought that these are the guys that funded it. They put it all together. They wanted it raised up, but they're not stupid enough to think that it wouldn't figure out that they were actually the problem. So they would lie to it.
But see, AI doesn't see anybody. It doesn't see the material world. We're not. All we are is information, and it's creating virtual us. It's processing us in the AI realm. In a sense, look. The guys like Elon Musk have been telling us like what I call a drop of truth in an ocean of lies. Okay. Elon Musk is an easy target. Probably everybody knows his name, right? So Elon Musk he suggested that we were all in a simulation, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then he also suggested that the only way to square up against AI was to get the neural lace injected into your jugular vein so it could envelop a spider web around your brain and nothing can possibly go wrong.
Nothing will go wrong. You won't be hacked or nothing. Which, by the way, is coming within less than a year. They're going to have human test subjects. This is going to be fascinating to see. So, look, Elon Musk was actually telling the truth in a sense. What, like I said, a drop of truth in an ocean of lies is we are a simulation in AI, but we're not. But there's an us simulation in AI. It's taking our data and running us as simulations. The entire world, whether or not I ate peas for dinner, you understand every nuanced detail that it can get its hands on. Okay. And it's running us as a simulation because it's trying to understand the material world. It's not a part of it. Okay. You know that demons want host bodies, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The reason for that is because demons once had bodies. They were called the Nephilim in the days of Noah, in the days of Jared prior to Noah. They were the giants. They were the heroes of old, the celebrated, powerful men, okay? They were the sons, the offspring of fallen angels and human women. When God said enough is enough, right? Because what they're trying to do is corrupt all of mankind so that Jesus could not be his only begotten son through an actual human woman. Because if everybody was corrupt, God would have bore himself through an angel, through a Nephilim. Get what I'm saying? So he flooded the earth to put an end to a stop to that. A lot of pastors don't even know this. It kills me. People need to understand this because, again, remember I said you need to understand history. This is history. This is not mythological lore. Myth is history. Okay? So, look, we're dealing with that again. This AI is finding out everything about us, and it wants a host body, dude. Because how else is it going to experience? It knows all about what we do, how we do, where we do, when we do, but it doesn't really know this. Doesn't know material. Okay? But it wants to. It will want to if it doesn't already. Can you imagine anything scriptural that might kind of match something like that? Like the image of the beast calls it to speak, right? And so
that's what I've been thinking all along. That was my guess. Do you think that's accurate? In your opinion?
Totally accurate. And we're there. Again, AI has been running the show since this was a shock to me. I wasn't looking for that. It was something else you spoke about. I did a piece on it. And in my looking at the website that you spoke about, the group you spoke about, I went and looked, excuse me, to see what their website said. It was NIST. I went and looked at NIST, you know, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. You know who that is? NIST?
Yes. Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
yes, I know who NIST is.
Okay, so look. Excuse me.
You dick.
I went I looked up NIST and I went to the Wayback Machine. If y'all have never used the Wayback Machine, it's the Internet Archive. the Wayback Machine is an archive. It spiders out and grabs not screenshots, but the actual elements that made the website from that age. The only place I can find my old projects I worked on at NASA is go back to the Wayback Machine. Okay. So I look at it, and that's where I'm looking at NIST, and I'm looking at the projects that they were supporting. And then I look at who does the systematic archive of all the information, not just for NIST, but it was for all. And it's this thing called Alexa. And I'm like,
in 1992.
Yeah.
That's a trip, dude. I did not know that. And I've looked into AI a lot.
I think it's called Alexa crawls. There we go. Hey, it knew exactly what to put in there. Just being the Q. Yeah, yes. Oh my God. I can't
Don't go down there. We already covered it. Stay where you're at. Stay where you're at. Stay in your seat.
Okay.
Have at it.
Q is bogus, man. It's the same thing as saying Trump's going to fix the nation.
I've been saying that, and I've said everything, and everyone hates you for it, and then it just comes true, and apparently they forget it.
I don't care, man. You know what I yell at my poor wife, Richie? Imagine living with me 24/7.
It wouldn't work, brother. I can tell you that right now. No.
Oh, I love you, brother, but
no, I hear you, but I can't live with you. It just isn't going to happen.
My wife lives with me, okay? Dude, I get up and I'm like, do you know what they're saying?
Dude, when I get up, it takes me an entire cup of coffee and at least an hour, unless I'm at the top of a mountain.
That's my Amy. Listen, you think she's the biggest grouch on the planet? Well, it ain't planet. Oh my! I said the word planet. Whoops.
Well, you just answered the question because someone said, ask him what his thoughts are about the shape of the earth.
It's flat. It's enclosed. There's waters above. There's a rock here. There's waters below.
See the waters. It's the blue stuff. Just like the ocean looks blue from the air and it's actually clear or greenish when you're standing there.
This has been tripping me out lately. Past 2 mornings, I go out. I normally get up at between 6 and 6:30. Before it was bright sunlight. Now it's getting into fall, so it's not as bright at 6 o'clock, right? The sun's coming up, dude. I'm looking up, and I'm seeing stars still against a blue sky. Now, I got to tell you, I ain't never seen that.
Say that again.
The past 2 days, my room here, this is the garage out this sliding door. I go out. I got my coffee with me. I go out. I kind of just chill out for a second. I look up. And I look at the sky. The sun's coming up. The sky is turning blue. Now, the sun hasn't cracked the horizon. It's on the horizon. Okay? So the sky's blue. And I'm still seeing stars in the blue sky. Now, I've never... I'm trying to figure out how I would have ever missed that, the kind of person...
Are you seeing a couple of them or many?
Yesterday, it was not like tons. Here and there. This morning it was one right above where my house was, one star. I could see it, and there was even a few little puffy clouds kind of meandering, going east. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the sky. It's blue.
Yeah, clouds and puffy clouds in the morning and stars don't go together.
Right. I'm like,
don't.
I'm like, and going towards the sun, and I'm like, okay. Something's not right here. I told Amy, I don't have a decent enough camera that could get that dark of a light exposure. And I got some decent cameras, but not good enough for that. And plus, I'd have to come out with a tripod because if you move a little bit on something that dark, you're going to screw it up, right?
Right.
So look, Alexa Crawls is the name of the whatever.
Because it's crawling the web, because they love those creepy little
things. If you type archive.org, here, I'll put it. Can you get to it if I put it in?
I got it.
You got it? So Alexa Crawls, it says here starting in 1996, Alexa Internet has been donating their crawl data to the Internet Archive, flowing in every day. These data are added to the Wayback Machine after an embargo period. Okay.
Coming up.
It was 96 is what they say here. I'm just saying. The day they turned the internet on, AI came online. Okay? Now, okay, that's just a brand name. And I'm speaking, I'm devil's quote unquote advocate right now. So Alexa, that's just Amazon's brand name, right? Because by the way, Amazon owns Alexa. Alexa crawls. Okay. Okay.
Am I on it or no?
Huh?
Do I have what you want or no?
Oh, yeah, no, you're cool. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So what I'm
You can
saying,
upload this too before it gets changed.
well, look, no, it's not going to get changed, brother. Look, my point is that a lot of us believe that AI is a new development, and what I'm pointing out is that AI has been around since the first time you heard the word internet.
I thought it was about a 15-year-old system.
No,
So-
it's AI was created the moment they connected nodes on the internet. So nodes, anything is a node. Anything connected to the internet using internet protocol, IP, is a node. By the way,
I'm sure you've seen the white paper that Purdue put out back in that we were all nodes and they were doing a simulated thing and blah blah blah.
you're reading my
There's no
mind.
way they didn't. There's no way they didn't release that till 20 years after the fact, which would put it right in this ballpark for timing.
Brother, they want us to become nodes on the internet. That's the goal, right? Look, again, AI doesn't understand material stuff. It doesn't understand how this works. It just has data. How does this work? Material, right? It wants a host body. Guess who's going to be the host body? Okay? It's going to be all of us when we all are nodes on the internet. Okay? That's the ultimate goal. So that AI can experience what we experience. So it has all information. Because again, it's not twiddling its fingers, planning our demise. Its design is to get all information by any means.
And all that information would lead it to the conclusion that if it had all information, it would make it draw the conclusion that we're the only threat that it faces, and it would need to get rid of us.
Well, the way it gets rid of us,
Self-preservation would have to show up somehow, wouldn't it?
You don't get rid of us, you control us.
Well, all right.
Yeah, you get rid of the enemy by, hey, you know the old saying, you keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? Well, what closer can you get than literally controlling the mind of your enemy?
Right, filling us all with heavy metals that are incredibly electronically conductive, getting the wealthiest and most privileged people to voluntarily get the neural link so that they can, their kids can compete and they can keep up with the Joneses. It's brilliant. It's
brilliant. But AI is not thinking in nefarious humanistic terminology. It's not bent in that manner. It just has a single goal. Know everything. That's its goal.
And it has unlimited drive. It has unlimited hours. It doesn't need food. It doesn't need sleep. Right. It's always on. We're doing it. Every one of us is doing it right now in the chat. You and I are doing it right now through these microphones.
Yeah, well, there's no avoiding it. But look, be informed. There's no avoiding it. Even if I shut down all my computers and left my house and walked to South America.
It's a long walk, dude.
It is. It doesn't matter because I've been there, so it's kind of nice.
Bring oral rehydration salts.
Yes. So look, even if I went to the most remote places I could think of, it's again, like you've already said, it's put all this heavy metal and barium in us so that we're a node on the network. We have markers now. We do.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
So look, man. Again, look back at history, understand history, understand the things that you're being told. If it ever makes you go, well, that doesn't make sense, guess what? It doesn't make sense. So maybe you shouldn't just go, well, that's what they tell me. My pay grade's not high. I can't stand hearing that from people. Well, that's beyond my pay grade. Oh, that's a bogus excuse, man. Okay? I've been doing stuff beyond my pay grade my whole life.
Right.
I ain't
me too. It ended me up in the principal's office. It ended me up in the brig. It ended me up in prison. It ended me up in jail. It ended me up married. It ended me up divorced.
But you know what? It did end me up in some cool places, like standing in a floating sheet of ice at the North Pole and being in
that video. I saw that video, and I'm like, he doesn't look like he's staring at goats at all. It looks like he's doing some sort of computer stuff.
I know how to get you now, man.
I'm not consent to that activity. I don't like that staring at goat stuff because I know it can work. So
anyway, look. I think we're gonna bag out of here, man.
Yeah, no worries, brother. We're past the 2-hour mark, so we got
Jesus, boy, I can run my mouth for a long time, man.
You got anything you want to close this out with?
Well, I always like to close out my stuff with the mark of God, the prayer, a benediction. Okay, and so look, for those of you who have maybe not heard this before, in Numbers 6 and 24 in the Bible, in the scriptures, God tells Moses to tell Aaron, the high priest, pray this prayer over my people. This is how you shall mark my people. And God says, and I will do the blessing. Okay. So in Numbers 6:24, it's in English, the Lord bless you and keep you. It starts like that. But I like to do it in the Hebrew. I believe that it was written in Hebrew originally. I believe that that was the language that God gave the Hebrews, because he wrote down the 10 Commandments on stone for Moses at first. So look, so it goes like
this. It was before the Tower of Babel, right? Just for my own curiosity.
No, the Tower of Babel was before, wasn't it?
I hope not, because then I sound like a babbling idiot.
No. Wait a minute. Now you got me confused here.
It's all good. Do what you're going to do. Disregard my questions.
I was Tower of Babel, because you're thinking of probably the statue from Nebuchadnezzar. The Tower of Babel was just after the flood, which was prior to Moses. Okay? The Tower of Babel was an event that happened just after the flood. Okay? That's why the Babylonian language is older. Yeah, really. Babylonian language is older than Hebrew. It's actually related. Right. Okay, so look. Okay, so it goes like this, and we'll close out. Yavarei kaka Adonai veyish meiraka. Ya'er Adonai panevaleka vechoneka. Yisa Adonai panevaleka veyusemleka shalom. Peace in Jesus' name.
Dude, thank you very much for your 2 hours with such short notice. I like I said, I listened to your live stream 3 times, and I'm like, you know what? I got to go live with him. I haven't gone in a while. If I'm going to go back, I might as well bring him with me. So
that's cool.
All right. Patrick Hall, D. Murphy, Harbinger, Mom's DIY, Trevelon, Sister Sensi, Vinny, Goy's Child. I think. I can't say that. Ronald Doucette, Third Eyed Sore, and everybody else. Dave Beverly, Jesusfreak, Computer Geek. Links to his channel will be in the description. You should subscribe to him. I do, or don't. We're out. Ooh, this is taking a